If you missed the last transfer special, do not be alarmed by the number of transfers on this screen here. Yes, it looks like we've been busy. But the reality is, I've simply been bolstering the B team. The first team needs improvements, and it's now the 1st of February. If you've been watching this series, you know exactly what that means. It means that there are Japanese players whose contracts have expired, who I really want to sign, and I'm really going to hope that other teams don't come in for them. Our first game of the league season is less than 3 weeks away. Lots of transfers to get done today. Not a lot of time to make them happen. Let's run the intro and get straight into things. How is it going, folks, and welcome back. Today is episode number 44, and we are ready and raring to go. Don't be deceived by those transfers. I kind of played it off like we haven't really done anything significant. We have smashed our record transfer already in this off-season, and of course we did sign Dos Santos, who is a new hot prospect to the club, albeit he's chilling in the B team. That record transfer, by the way, was this guy here, Kazuhiro Sasaki, 19 years old. Looks like he could be a very good forward. Someone raised a really good point. I made a promise to him, didn't I? And that promise was that I'd filled him in the advanced forward position. So all that chat we had last episode about, yeah, I'm going to play him as a pressing forward, it was a lie. He will be playing as an advanced forward, of course, alongside Taba, who is also with Sasaki, away on international duty with the Japanese under-20 squad. I think they're both going to be away to start the year, which is a bit annoying. As we discussed last episode as well, I feel like we are going to be abandoning the more conservative counter-attacking system this year in favour of some heavy rock and roll football. I feel like we've now got the quality to do that. This is one of the first years where I look at our squad, where we are in the league, perhaps our media prediction, and just based on how we did last year. And I feel like we should be able to take the game to other teams. Saying all of that, the first team is still rather bloated. There's a load of players here who are wanted. That I've listed for transfer, like Kamori, who are yet to get bids on them. We are trying to move on a couple of players. Watanabe and Takeshi have some bids. I would really like to trim down this first team because I am going to need to add some better quality in the depth department. Which I suppose brings me on nicely to this screen here. And in fact, the top 2 players in this list are 2 players we looked at just last episode. Ryohei Agane is 18 years old. He was playing, if we look here, for Oyamori Yamada High School. He looks like he could be a decent depth centre mid option. He can play a whole host of positions, to be fair. I discussed last episode the need to bring in some new centre mids. That's definitely an important area. Really would like to land this guy. But actually, Tsujikawa might be the better of the bunch. This guy's 18 with 14 jumping reach. He looks absolutely tremendous. Annoyingly, Jeff United already want him, but with both these players, I'm going to try and get them signed, and I'm going to try, if I can, to get rid of any release clauses that they want, because it's something that we experienced a bit last episode with Ono, and in fact, you can see here, as we chat with the agent, there is a talk of a release clause. I'm going to ask him to be flexible here. Let's just say, I need some room for negotiations. How does that sound? Okay, I think we might be able to get this deal done. Approach to sign. He wants to treat the club as a stepping stone. No. We do not like those. Remove the release clauses. I'm learning from last time. I think with a lot of players this year, I'm going to just accept the fact I might have to give them a top promotion wage rise. Given the fact their initial wages are so low, I don't think that's going to be a problem. I have a sneaking suspicion there's going to be a lot of competition for these 2 players that I'm really eyeing up. This guy is so good, by the way. He would be like a top quality player for our current team. You could play him at centre mid, arguably. Centre back, I think, is where I'd probably play him, just because of his aerial ability. His wage demands actually aren't that unreasonable. I'm going to get a bit cheeky here. I'm going to ask if he'll sign a 3-year deal on £2,000 a week. I know that is a massive upping versus what he's already getting, requesting, but I just feel like I want to get this deal done. I'm going to try and lock in these bits and get this deal just done as fast as possible. Of course, there is the magical line where a player says, I think this is a very acceptable offer and they'll just sign for you no matter what. There is a real temptation to try and pursue that line. Right now, our highest earner is Sasaki on £2,000. So £2,000 is kind of an amount that I don't mind going up to. We've just submitted an initial offer of £2,000 now. I'm going to go up to £2,200. I can afford that. It might seem insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but I'm hoping it might push us closer to that magical line. Also, because this is a free transfer, I don't mind offering a big signing on fee, especially with no release clause and some pretty favourable terms here. But I feel like I might be in a bit of a predicament here where no matter how much I offer, I'm not going to get him to say the magical line. But I'll tell you what, there is an offer here that I've put on the table. And if I don't get him for this price, I feel like I almost won't feel any regret. Just because I can't offer him much more than this. I mean, look, okay, wage after 5 games playing for the Japanese national team, £2,500. I've left it all on the table there. I really want Takashi. I think of all the players we've looked at in recent years, he is probably the best that actually wants to join us. We've had some maybe, similarly good players, but they've never been centre-backs. It's always been a bit of a problem position. I really want this guy. I'm really setting myself up for pain, aren't I? And whilst Agane here isn't the craziest player on paper in the world, he does have a hell of a lot of potential, and he is a pretty good creative player. 15 vision, 13 passing, I really like the look of. Similarly, I'm going to let his agent know that I'm interested in signing him. Talk of a release clause. Look, let's be flexible. Let's have a chat. Let's see what he wants. Regular starter is interesting. A slight reduction versus the previous player. He does, however, want a yearly wage rise, which I'm absolutely not willing to give him, and release clauses. Release clauses. No one likes release clauses. Agane here, you are very good, mate. I'm going to give you a similarly good offer. I can only offer him actually an initial 2-year deal, but we'll put in a contract extension after promotion of 2 years. I want to believe that we will get promoted this coming year, and so this won't be a problem. Okay, I really thought I'd put a reasonable bid on the table. He's come back and asked for even more money. He went from 1.5 to 1.8 thousand pounds in his demands. Look, I'll give you 1.6. I'll give your agent some more money. I'm already giving him as much money as I can. I feel like this is kind of similar to the previous offer, where, look, I'm really giving this guy all I can. It's one of those things where if I don't sign this player now, I don't feel like I can regret not offering him more. When you play 5 games for Japan, you can earn 1.9 thousand. I really don't want to give a sell-on bonus here. You know what? When you get 10 assists, you can have a chunk of money as well. I feel like I'm being very, very reasonable here, and actually his demands are a bit higher than I want to admit. And I'm really surprised he's turned that down. I mean, Agane is good, right? According to our staff think he's absolutely crazy. I actually think this is a bit of an overrate. Compared to Ferreira, is Agane that... I mean, when you look at it like that, I feel like offering any more than what I offered him would probably be an overpay. Is that a fair statement? Maybe I'm just trying to cope. I'm very, very surprised, I will say, that he's turned that down. I should point out, whilst those 2 players are the best 2 in terms of ability, at least in the eyes of our staff, there's a lot of players here that are probably worth looking through. Players like Tabori here, who's not bad, not great either. Matsui is 28 years old. He's not even a region. This bloke is a real man. He was playing in China for a short period in the Chinese Super League for Guangzhou. Is he any good? Not really. I'm scared by the injury proneness and hating important matches. Morale here is a good player, but I'm not sure I need any more defenders. I'm kind of going to just work on the assumption that Tsujikawa will join us, and if he doesn't, then I'll cry. Uchimura here is actually a pretty decent player. 19 years old. He's very, very good. I'm kind of looking at him as a depth centre-back option, but the fact he can also play centre-mid is nice. He only wants to be a breakthrough prospect. I don't love the fact he's got an ambitious personality, but with wage demands like these, I'll tell you what, how could you say no? I'm going to give him a little bit more than he asked for, because I'm a reasonable human being. How does that sound? He loves it. I mean, he's accepted it. I'm really setting myself up for disappointment here, because players like this guy are just great value for money. There's a list of teams potentially interested who will probably just come in and steal him away from me. Asaro here is a centre-mid with a little bit of potential. I say a little bit. According to our staff, he's got a lot of potential. Of all the players sorted by potential, he is right up there. And I guess the nice Brucey bonus with him is he's 18 years old. He actually looks really, really good as a more creative centre-mid. It's a role that I was looking to really get in Agane to fill, but this guy might be able to do that job in the first team. Although, after 20 league games, he wants £2,000. Mate, you are... I respect his boldness with that initial demand. These demands are very high. A little bit worried I might be about to upset him here. I mean, look, if you play 30 games for us, you can go on £1,500. I don't feel like he's going to achieve that this year, so it's fine. And I'll tell you what, he's accepted that bid. £850 for Asaru. I think I can live with that. I really like this guy's mentals. You know what? I've got some offers on the table for some good players here who would actually cover centre mid as well. there's not a load of other players jumping out right away, and really, I feel like I need to be selling more players before I buy too many more. Tokyo 23 face late pressure to sign Sujikawa. I mean, we're the only team to make a bid. Here's a list of all the teams who are also interested. Can I offer him more money? Can I give him more if I up the wage budget? Can we even afford to up the wage budget? I think we can, maybe slightly. I'll give him more. Please sign for me, please. I'm even now just upping the signing fee by a few thousand, as if that's going to make a big difference. I want this man so badly. I can't stress it enough. Bit of rubbing salt in the wound here. Scout reports coming in for a few players I manually scouted. Agane, one such player who I've just had the scout report for. I mean, maybe no one will sign him and I can go back in for him in a week and he'll have lower demands. Some of these high school players I scouted haven't been released and I really, really want to sign them. Like this guy. This guy's great, isn't he? He's very fun at his Fuji. I guess the issue is his valuation is going to be up to £500,000, which right now I don't have. Yes, there's 2.5 million in the bank. The transfer budget isn't going to go that far. Rejected a bid for Takagi. He's come in unhappy. He really wants to go to Gambro Osaka. I'm just going to ignore him. You know, that's the way to deal with all your problems in life. He's got 3 years left on his current deal and an optional 3-year extension. I really don't need to sell this man. Yeah, Sujikawa, bids made for him by 2 J1 teams. Dream's dead, innit? Dream is dead. I mean, I'm just looking at Japanese youngsters I've got scouted. There is Sakaki here. This is a completely different player to the other players that begin with the letter S. They all have similar names. Apparently, the letters S, K, and A are just in loads of Japanese footballer names. This guy plays for Omori Yamada as well. I feel like we're just stealing players from this high school all the time. His contract's up at the end of the year. He's already announced he wants to leave on a free at the end of it. Can I get him for like a cut price, maybe? Probably not. They want between £75,000 and £750,000 to make it happen. He's a decent little player. I actually look at him and think he could be a good defensive mid. Longer term. I mean, he is quite good. I don't want to make a bid for him yet, but I'm going to keep him on my radar. More offers made for Taba. Aramba have offered almost I say almost 600,000. It's 600,000 if bonuses have hit. That is a nice offer. I'm still going to turn it down. A load of other teams have made offers for Takashi here. I'm not getting Takashi, am I? He's gone to Jeff United. He's gone to pissing Jeff. Are you kidding me? There's a minimum release clause. Tempted to just trigger it right away. We knocked Jeff, didn't we, out of the playoffs? They've taken that personally. The man I wanted to sign, they've picked up. They're only paying him, well, I say only. They're paying him £4,600. That is so much more than I could ever offer. Life is not fair, everyone. I really like the idea of signing this guy. Really, really like the idea of signing him, and that's just not an option now, is it? I mean, all of a sudden, to be honest, Uchimura looks like he could be a pretty good addition. I still really like the look of this guy as a decent depth option. Feel like he could end up playing on the bench just because of his versatility at the back. Oh, I mean, I'm going to be honest, he's good, the 19-year-old. If we just compare him with Takashi, who we've missed out on, who's a year younger, he's nowhere near as good, is he? Oh, I hate Jeff. They've got their revenge. Trial day for Japanese players. You know what? We might as well scout all these players and see if they're any good. The best young player out there is this guy, Eiji Chiba. Is he good? The technicals are uninspiring, aren't they? Top goal scorer odds don't have any of our players listed, which, considering the amount of strikers we have that I really rate, concerns me slightly. Let's look at the positives. We've made a signing. Osaru is joining us. The 18-year-old, I think, is going to be a good depth playmaking option. Over the last few years, we've had a backup to Ferreira, our playmaking centre mid, who's kind of been a younger Japanese understudy. And every year, I've sold them on for a few £100,000. Maybe Osaru will be a slightly longer-term option. Also, administrators have come in for a Vispa. A Vispa, I'm just looking at things here, they were just relegated from J1. They actually won J1 in 2024, the first year of the save game. Apparently, they're in debt by 35 million. Can I steal some of their players? Let's have a look at their team. Oh, okay. Their team does not have very many players right now. And also of their players, a load of them have got like quite big wages that I can't realistically afford. Watanabe, can you remember? I was trying to sign Watanabe, wasn't I? I think last year when he was a free agent and then he turned me down. How the tables have turned. They have also got some youth goalkeeper in the options here. Kawano, it looks like he could be a decent little backup player actually at 19 years old. Again, valuation is set at 500,000. I'm just going to offer 50k and I might be able to get him for close to that. I mean, 35 million in debt, I'm about to give them £200,000. I'm really generous. Or rather, I would be really generous if their players wanted to join me. Kawano, who I think would be an emergency kind of backup goalkeeper, wants to be an important player. Watanabe doesn't even want to talk to me. These players don't want to help a Visper out, and frankly, that is shocking. J2 League top player odds. Look, Manga is in there. Look, Manga, let's be honest, he ended the season on a low, didn't he, with that sending off. I think he's going to come good this year. And apparently so do the bookies. His contract's up in 2 years. There's an optional 2-year contract extension. I'm going to trigger that right now. I don't want to lose this man. I think he will be good long term. Apparently a Hashizume transfer saga is about to develop. I mean, it's not about to develop. He's not for sale. He's got 4 years left on his current contract. I will say on Hashizume, on paper, he should be absolutely top drawer. He didn't have a great year for us last year, but I feel like, given his age, you know, given the fact he's only 19, I am willing to be patient with him. I still feel like he will come good eventually. I was just looking for all the different positions in our squad, kind of sorted just individually by kind of the positions. So you have defenders here. I actually really like our depth for maybe the first time ever at the back. I think Manga alongside Sakaguchi is going to be my go-to centre-back partnership this year. I feel like this is a decent little partnership, to be fair. As much as I'm annoyed that we didn't get the centre-back that I wanted, I think these two guys are definitely up to the task. And of course, in wing-back, we've got Tachibana, who is unfortunately injured at the moment and will potentially miss the start of the season. And of course, Ono, who we've only now got in on loan. But the depth behind these players is really good. Next episode, I will be doing this full kind of squad rundown. In terms of the strikers as well and kind of attacking midfielders, there is really good depth here in the wide areas and in the striking areas. The versatility is there. There are a couple of centre mids that kind of pop up in this list. But if we just go to kind of midfielders and then centre mids only, this is still the only area where I'm a little bit concerned with depth. Of course, we've got Ferreira, who I really like the look of. We've got Denise, who I really like the look of. They will probably be our starters this year. We've already brought in Asaru today, who I think is good enough to be the backup playmaking option. Maybe need to get in a new defensive midfield option. Yoshikawa hasn't liked being a backup, so I am currently trying to move him on. And I suppose the only similar player in mould, kind of defensive centre mids, was Watanabe, who's potentially on his way out the door for £70,000. I have just demoted him down to the B team, given the fact he's due to leave. But yeah, I mean, when you look at the centre mid area here, it's evident this is the area we need to add a few players in. But just in general, I'm feeling kind of calm, even though we've not landed all the signings I wanted to make. All of that to say that Kenji here, I'd quite like to sign, and if I do sign him, I will probably either train him to play centre mid or train him to play defensive mid. There could even be a world where I do go to kind of an asymmetric system here, where we have kind of a defensive midfielder, probably just on support, to be honest, who plays alongside an advanced playmaker that maybe has to be a deep line playmaker just to make things work. I think to start the year, we will probably be tinkering with the centre mid roles to get a balance that just feels like it offers us enough coverage defensively. But of course, we are going to be playing this more attacking system this year. We're probably going to ship a few more goals. It's just about finding that balancing act where I'm not looking for clean sheets all the time this year, but equally, we can't repeatedly leave ourselves open. But yeah, maybe a defensive mid is the way to go, because then, well, any defensive mid players I have can also slot into the team, of which there are limited centre mid options. But actually, in terms of other players that are centre backs that could play centre mid in emergency, suddenly Yoshida becomes an option to maybe be that little bit of depth. Tachibana, I guess, could also be the defensive midfielder if I really needed it. Although that would be somewhat problematic if that happens, because that would mean Mitsuhashi's back in at right back. Love it or hate it, I feel like at this point we just have to realise this guy is inevitable, isn't he? He will always be at this club, it feels like. Okay, sale of Watanabe going through here. I said it was £70,000 a minute ago. It's actually £62,000, but with a 40% profit, I feel like that's a pretty decent move. The 22-year-old would probably be semi-useful as a depth option, but he's not been that happy as, well, a more backup option. And given the fact he's 22 and he's not been been improving all that much more. I feel like there's probably better ball-winning options out there for us to pick up. It's only been a week. Agane, still a free agent, still no one making an offer. I wonder if that's to do with his demands. I feel like every day I've got to go chat with him and see if he's going to change his mind about wanting to join us. I just hope that when he does decide he wants to talk to us, he maybe lowers his demands just a little bit. If I am going to make the switch to the asymmetric system, I'm actually wondering as well if Sakaki is worth just testing the waters with. I've not got a load of money to spare, so if they're going to ask for, well, towards the upper end of his transfer value, that's going to be a problem. Looking at things here, though, Amori Yamada might be being quite reasonable. I'm going to try and get an offer done here where it's not all the money up front, if possible. I'm going to try and spread it out just a little bit. £250,000, well, over half of it being paid over 3 years could be the play. This guy, I think, could be a really good defensive midfielder option. But I don't want to say it too loudly because he's not really got the same level of creativity. But could he be better than Denise as the starting defensive mid? Maybe. If nothing else, though, great right back. Okay, our offer's been accepted. Jeff United are interested. Of course they bloody are. Of course they are. Right, let's get a bid done here. Wants to be a regular starter. That is A-OK. No release clause being asked for. He knows how to please me. Let's get rid of the yearly wage rise, top promotion wage rise of 50%. I'm going to try and get in the contract extension after promotion of 2 years as well. Want to lock in as many of these players that we're putting big investment into onto longer deals, especially if we get promoted. They're going to be a long-term part of the first team. This offer here has been accepted. I could offer a little bit more in signing on fee and agent fee. I'm going to hope that no one else comes in for him and that we can just secure his signature. He would be a really good player, especially with that leadership. Don't want to say it too loudly. Maybe a longer-term captaincy option? Suppose the only downside is maybe the slight question mark over his potential ability, but his current ability is already good for a J2 squad, and for the price we're paying, I feel like the depth he's offering with the potential upside of some potential, it's a good deal. And in some more good news, Uchimura has agreed to join the club. Another player who I think can be a useful squad player. Coming in as a breakthrough prospect. Not sure how much he'll feature in the team this year, although to be honest, at centre-back, he might be better than the likes of Ataki, who I've still got in the team as kind of one of those depth options. I mean, when you look at the head-to-head comparison there, there's not a million miles of difference between the two players, but you know what? Free transfer, we love it. Being informed of players here in the final year of their contracts, the good news is Sakaguchi, who's one of our centre-back options, has an optional 2-year extension. Okamura has a long-term extension as well we can trigger for 3 years, and all of a sudden, our better players that we were at risk of losing are, well, still here. I guess of the remaining players, Fukatsu and Kato, who are our depth kind of right-back and left-back options, maybe need to look to get onto new deals. They're not on a load of money right now. Kamiyama as well, the right midfielder, I would definitely like to get on a new deal. We signed him for not a huge amount of money, £91,000. He ended the season really, really well. I suppose the question is, how much money is he going to want? And the answer is, not an outrageous amount. I can handle this. Bit annoying that I can only offer him a 2-year deal. I'm going to try and sign him, though, onto an optional 2-year extension that I would look to trigger immediately. He doesn't have any agents, so maybe that makes negotiating with him that little bit easier. That is an incredible, generous offer I've given him. The good news is he's accepted it. At the moment, our first team is 27 players strong. Now, sadly, our B team weren't promoted at the end of the year, so they still don't play in a playable league, in spite of the fact that it is starting to look a little more filled out. There's a couple of players in the first team, though, like Komori, the kind of emergency backup right mid. And I suppose on the other side, we also have Kayanoki here, who are good players that if I have a load of injuries, I will call into the first team and need. But actually, just for the sake of squad management, I'm going to move them down to the B team. I'm going to hope that in the case of both these players that I have offered out to clubs and transfer listed, they're not going to be too upset by being demoted. I am wondering if there's any more players here that I should maybe be looking to give the same treatment to, just to sort out the team a little. I've blocked out a starting 11 here for the upcoming year. Of course, there's a few players who probably won't be available for the first game of the year here, be it through injury or international duty. And I've also kind of marked out the bench here. This is a really strong team with a way better bench than we had last year. You know, on the bench for this coming year, we'll have Hashizume as a right attacking mid option, Sakurai as the left attacking mid option. In terms of strikers just on the bench, Okamura and Takagi sat there. I mean, if we don't score goals this coming year, something's gone really, really wrong. I am wondering as well, given the fact that kind of the options on the bench are more inside forward players, they're strikers that can play out wide, as opposed to, I guess, Ahmed, and out on the other side, Kamiyama, who are definitely more traditionally wingers. Maybe I make an even more attacking version of this tactic, or some kind of hybrid tactic, where instead of the wingers, we also have inside forwards as well. Really try and flood the middle of the pitch. I suppose the more logical thing actually would just be to move all the different players who might play in all the different areas and just provide them personalised instructions of kind of inside forward, so that no matter who I'm playing where, the game just always updates. You know what? That's good planning. I'm glad I've done that. I'm a little bit worried that I'm running out of money in terms of transfer budget and wage budget, that is. I've got clauses I can sell. There's a few here I'm kind of tempted to sell. Yoniyama we sold halfway through last year for £400,000, then loaned him back for the rest of the year. His valuation here is really, really high, but I'm not sure what the odds of him actually ever fulfilling that are. Given the fact I can sell on the sell-on clause for £220,000, kind of tempted just to take that now. This will probably be money that just goes back into the wages. Similarly with Batata, there is a sell-on clause. Now, Batata, I don't think I'm going to sell, just because, to be honest, the £50,000 isn't all that impressive. Worth noting as well, by the way, the team that he moved to, Blaublitz, were relegated last year from J1. We played them on the opening day of the league season. We might see the return of the potato. I was hoping that maybe with some of these other sell-ons there was some significant money. Yamada, you might remember, he was kind of a decent little playmaking option for us once upon a time. We actually got 650k for him, which in retrospect was an absolute robbery. This guy, I'm going to level with you, he really isn't anything special. I'm not even sure we're going to make any profit on him ever, based on his value being, well, below what we sold him for. So with that in mind, maybe I should just take the £11,000 and run. It is better than nothing. If nothing else, you know what? It's £230,000 received. And on top of that, £100,000 for Takeshi too. A loyal servant to the club, a decent little option in his day, the centre mid. But sadly, as the team's climbed up the league, he's just slowly fallen out of favour in the first team. His performances have never really been that outstanding. It's kind of a miracle he lasted as long as he did. I think it's just because he reminded me of Takeshi's Castle, the TV show. But his day's come, it's gone. £100,000 in the bank, yes please. I mean, now the transfer budget sits at £500,000. Now it looks really, really good, doesn't it? I will jig some of this into the wage budget. But yeah, definitely scope to bring in more players if we want to. I am going to give Kato here a new deal. He only wants £450 a week as a depth option. For Katsu as well, another one of these depth players that has only a year left on his contract. They don't want increased player kind of roles in the team. They're happy being breakthrough prospects still. So with that in mind, I can get them for really cheap. And for the depth options that they are and the quality they provide, I don't think I'm going to get value for money anywhere, to be honest. Noticed as well, there's a few more players here with optional contract extensions. I'm going to trigger Hondas, the 18-year-old. I just want locked in here for the foreseeable future. And Tachibana, I've also just extended the contract of. He's now here for another 5 years. That's exciting. Okay, the season start is 1 week away. I feel like Sakaki right now is the only player immediately on my radar as someone that I'm trying to sign and hopefully going to get over the line before the year begins. I'm looking through the squad. I'm looking through the age of the players and some of the potential we have here. I feel like this is one of those weird situations where I have a team that for the next few years, if we don't get promoted at least, isn't going to need a load of new players. We just need time to develop the players that we've already got here. Still getting offers for Tabba, by the way. This is perhaps the biggest. £750,000 I think that could have been worth, but I just think he's worth more than that, to be honest. Being asked to pick the captain for the year. At the moment, I've got Ataki as captain and Yoshikawa as vice-captain. Neither of them are going to be starters this year. I'm not sure either of them are even going to make the bench either. I kind of want to make Nakano captain. I mean, 13 leadership isn't exactly outstanding and he's not got the best teamwork, but at least the goalkeeper will be playing regularly for us. If I warn Ataki that he's going to lose the captaincy and that there's just better options out there, maybe he's going to be fine with it. He's not going to be fine with it. I'm sorry, mate. I need to give someone else a chance. He did not like that. So I'm going to make Nakano captain. I'm still trying to sell Yoshikawa, so rather than removing him as vice-captain, I'm just going to hope I sell him and don't have to strip him of the role. That way, there's no risk of any kind of unhappiness. Apparently, there's been some offers made for Agane here as well, by the way. Lots of J3 and J2 teams making bids. He still doesn't want to talk to me. That's annoying, isn't it? Can I offer him a trial? Maybe he'll join me on a trial and then he'll want to talk. Taki's not happy that I dropped him as captain, mate. You need to stop crying. You're soft. You're becoming a bit too influential, though. That's just not true. You weren't good enough. Nakano makes a better captain at the moment. I don't think it's fair at all. I was doing an excellent job. I'm just going to convince him. I'll apologise. An apology's not suffice. What do you want? A box of chocolates? This is unprofessional. Get on with your job. I mean, of all the players to be unhappy, I could definitely have a lot worse players unhappy than Ataki. I wanted to sign Agane, not going to get a chance to sign him. He has already gone to Imabari. Didn't even weigh up the possibility of coming to us on trial. The 18-year-old, by the way, is signed for £2.4 thousand a week for Imabari. For context, they play in the same division as us. And, well, you can see here, they finished 18th. In fact, they don't play in the same division as us. They were relegated from our division last year. They have just signed him on £2.4 thousand a week. That is more than I pay any of our players, which is absolutely mad to think about. The cheek of it. Imabari now want to sign Kato from me. Absolutely not. You've just robbed me of the centre mid I wanted. That's annoying. Hashizume injured again. He's not got injury proneness listed as a con, but in the last few months, he's missed a lot of football through injury. Like, a lot of football. I think since September, he's going to miss 5 months total. We're now in February. He's been fit for about a month. Obviously, he will now miss the start of the year. The first 4 to 5 weeks, by the way, kind of busy. Yeah, he's definitely not going to be around for the start of the year. Okay, another deal getting over the line here. Manabu Sakaki. I'm not sure at this point how many Amari Yamada high school players I've signed. I think it's 3 or 4. It's another one to add to the collection. He is their captain. I feel like £250,000 isn't a small amount of money, but given the lack of quality out there and the quality that does exist that I can actually afford wage-wise, he kind of fits into the Venn diagram of both as kind of the perfect mix. Adds a bit of quality, versatile as well. I like the look of this guy, and given the fact I think I am now committing to this asymmetric centre-mid setup, he is good to go as a defensive midfielder option too. And a good day gets even better, kind of. Kamiyama has signed a new deal at the club, which we really love to see. Long-term deal with an optional 2-year extension, which of course I'm going to trigger immediately. Was a little bit of interest in the right midfielder, so good to see him commit his long-term future to the club. At 25 years old, he is one of the more senior players. Sadly, that good news doesn't last all that long. Taba is apparently very unhappy that I'm not selling him. I mean, can you blame me for not wanting to sell this guy? He is very good. 18 years old, absolute standout player, has improved a ton since he joined the club from JFA Fukushima for £275,000, was top goal scorer in J2. For obvious reasons, I don't want to lose him. I blocked out the starting 11, ready for the start of next episode, obviously just a moment ago with all the latest transfers, beginning to realise that due to suspensions, injuries and international duty, and, well, just players missing here, there and everywhere, there's going to be a few gaps in the team, I think, to start the new season. In fact, is at a point where with Hashizume and Honda are injured, Taba and Sasaki also unavailable, we might be turning already to the likes of Kayanoki and Komori, who are, of course, the players I've just demoted to the B team to come back into the first team and play. Which, look, they can do the business as backups, just didn't want it to happen so soon. So you might remember at the start of pre-season, we had a media prediction of 7th. You are perhaps wondering, with all the additions, Jack, have you moved up or down? The answer is, we've moved up to 6th. It's not exactly a revolutionary change. Interesting to note as well, of the teams relegated, Avispa obviously are in administration. They're right down towards the bottom. But apparently Blaublitz, who we play in the opening game of the year, we may even be slightly better at least in the eyes of the press. I want to pretend that the Media Dream 11 and the season preview is all absolute gospel. The reality is it isn't, but I'm going to take heed from this. Nakano is in the Media Dream 11 in goal. The new club captain. I feel like this guy is going to be our goalkeeper for a really long time. I absolutely love him. To be honest, I'm thinking about how I can get him in on a new contract. Does he want to sign? Do you want to sign a new deal? I'll give him a new deal now. 4-year deal, and I'll tell you what, if we get promoted, let's stick 3 more years on it. Let's have a beautiful time together. Why can't more players be like Nakano? I was sat looking at the centre mid options thinking, oh, are any of these centre mids worth considering buying? And then I realised, what could have been, eh? Anyway, the start of the season is 2 days away, and to be honest, with no transfers lined up on the ends, and no transfers lined up, at least right now on the outs, it feels like a pretty good time to wrap things up. We have made some pretty nice additions to the squad today, some real quality additions, I feel like, in the likes of Sakaki, who I think is going to be great, Asaru as well, as a more kind of depth playmaking option, I think could be great, and Uchimura, I know he's with the under-18s right now, he should be with the B team, I think he's also a player who could find himself in the first team fray with a little bit of improvement. And of course, the transfer window is still open for a little while. We've got plenty of wage budget and a little bit of transfer for budget left to spend money if we want to. I'm feeling good about this year. I feel like playoffs is the minimal aim. I'm a little bit hesitant to say, let's go for automatic promotion because of the tactical system change. But actually, when you look at the players we've got here and the players we've got and it's just a great team. I hope we're near the top. I think we're going to be playing more attractive, entertaining, attacking football this year, which does have me a little bit excited. With that all said and done, we will be back next time to take on Blaublitz. It will potentially be the return of the Potato, if indeed he's playing in their team. Of course, they're now limited, Blaublitz, to fewer foreign players, and actually Batata's not registered. It's the second year in a row where he's at a J2 team and they can't register him or play him because he's not Japanese. Okay, well, I was hoping we were going to be playing against the Potato. We might not be playing against him. Come back tomorrow to find out. Leave a like if you've enjoyed. I'll see you tomorrow for more. It's me, Jack, and I'll talk to you all in a bit. I'm out.